And now we're joined by Adam Schwarz, a writer and political commentator, joining us from London. Good to have you with us here. Certainly an eventful day, an eventful series of months. Hard to understand exactly where the turning point has been in all this. Let's get to the heart of the matter, though. Rishi Sunak, he seems to be the firm favorite now to replace Liz Truss as prime minister. Already by this afternoon, do you think this is likely?
It seems that's certainly the most likely thing to happen. I mean, there is still one challenger remaining, Penny Mordaunt, who is the current leader of the House of Commons. However, her public number of supporters still stands at around 25. And this is despite the fact that Johnson supporters, by most estimates to be around 50 to 60, now are able to endorse another candidate. Just a few minutes ago, it was confirmed that Rishi Sunak now has a majority of Conservative MPs. So he now has over 50% of his MPs are now backing him, which is a really crucial thing in terms of ensuring that he has actual authority within his own party, which has been such an important issue in UK politics over the last 6 months or so.
Absolutely.
We've seen such instability with the Johnson era, and of course Truss ultimately losing the support of her own MPs as well. So I think it certainly looks like Sunak is going to be prime minister possibly as early as this afternoon or this evening.
Adam, I want to bring our narrow view of priorities in here and talk about Israel for a moment here. Boris Johnson was a good friend of this country. Liz Truss was saying all the right things, had experiences in the foreign ministry as well, as a foreign secretary dealing with the country. What's at stake for relations with Israel here, depending on now what happens here with the premiership?
Well, I think assuming it will be Sunak, I mean, he's an individual who hasn't really shown a huge amount of interest in foreign policy issues. He's mainly been focused on sort of domestic and economic issues as he's been finance minister for the past couple of years. But there are some clues that were provided during the summer leadership campaign when during a hustings, Rishi Sunak said that he considered Jerusalem to be Israel's historic capital. And also there was a very, quote, strong case for moving the embassy to Jerusalem. However, I think on that particular issue, Truss said herself that she was going to move it. I think it's unlikely that we will see Sunak move the embassy there, certainly in the short term, because, as someone who's coming in after a very turbulent period, he wants to try to avoid anything that causes what he would consider to be sort of unnecessary controversy. But I think in terms of all the major fundamental issues that are really governing Israel-UK relations, all of those I would expect largely to be unchanged. The UK will continue to be a supporter of the two-state solution, via a negotiated settlement. The UK and Israel will continue to have joint foreign policy interests, such as countering Iran in the Middle East and elsewhere. The Conservative Party manifesto in 2019 committed the UK government to fighting all forms of boycott, divestment and sanctions from Israel. So that will certainly continue. But I think also you have to consider the fact that, Rishi Sunak is a devout Brexiteer. And so, there's such a strong emphasis on ensuring you have very strong trade relations with countries. So I would expect it's quite possible that we may see a push from a Prime Minister Sunak to a more comprehensive or at least a more detailed trade agreement than what Israel signed with the UK in February 2019. But I think there's also one more indirect issue that we might see here, and that is the fact that changing leader twice mid-election cycle does increase the chance that you're going to have an early general election. And of course, the polls at the moment indicate that if that happened, the Labour Party, current main opposition, is most likely to form the next government. And certainly the Labour Party is much more sort of openly critical of Israel. So that certainly might be an issue more in the medium term, I would say.
Adam Schwarz, it's truly a fascinating set of developments that's taken place in your country here over recent times. So appreciate you spending a few moments with us to help us decipher exactly what's happening.